Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. JD here again with another quick car finance related video for you on this Sunday afternoon. Hope you're all well. I hope you've all subscribed. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so and hit that bell notification so you can keep up to date with the new videos as and when I release them. So today's video isn't going to be looking at the spreadsheet, although plenty of demand for the spreadsheet still, so that's great. If you haven't obtained a copy of the latest spreadsheet, please do email me here to find out how you can get your hands on a copy. People are finding it really useful, so I'm really pleased. It really encourages me to keep adding new functionality to the spreadsheet, so please do email me for a copy if you haven't already done so. Obviously, please do keep commenting on all of these videos. Really encourages me to keep going. Please comment on the Facebook group as well, Car Finance Tutorials Chit Chat. So today what I thought I'd do is do a bit of a recap. I like to do these probably about every 6 months or so for people who are new to the channel and may not have seen older videos. And what I've done today is put together very quickly, just literally 10 minutes. I've tried to come up with 10 kind of facts or do's and don'ts when it comes to taking out, or certainly considering taking out, PCP car finance. So let's have a look. So I've called this PCP Facts, do's and don'ts. Okay, so first one I would say, and I've mentioned this before, never give your monthly budget to the salesperson. So if you go into a dealer's and they say to you, right, you know, you've got your eye on a particular car, you've expressed your interest, never say, oh, I can afford £300 a month. Never do that, because obviously they're going to try and work to that budget or slightly beat it. And if you don't give them an indication of your monthly budget, and as we'll come to shortly, concentrate more on the purchase price and the discounts and the APR available, you might find that you save a lot more than you would have done if you just said £300 a month, I'm happy with that, and then they come back at £295 and you think you've got a cracking deal. So my first tip would be never give your monthly budget to the salesperson. In at number 2, remember, and again, this is something which I still get emails about, I still see comments on forums about. Remember, with a PCP agreement, you are borrowing the entire amount less any deposit. So you are borrowing, or you are financing, and most of the time, unless it's 0%, you are paying interest on that guaranteed future value, that balloon payment. Some people still think that they are borrowing only the difference between the deposit at the beginning and the balloon payment at the end, and they're only borrowing that bit in the middle, and that's not how it works. If it's 0%, it doesn't make any odds because you're not paying any interest on it. But just remember, when you are taking out a PCP with interest on it, you are also paying interest on that guaranteed future value, that balloon payment, whether you actually pay it off at the end or not. So just be aware. And I've said this before, if you don't believe me, the easiest way to prove it is just check your credit file. It will tell you how much you have borrowed, and it will include that guaranteed future value payment at the other end. In at number 3, always check and double check and triple check sometimes the finance quotation. If you saw my previous video the other day where one of my viewers, and let me use it as an example, he was told that he would get a £400 finance deposit allowance. So if you were borrowing £15,000, sorry, let's say the purchase price was £15,000 and you were putting no deposit in yourself, the amount of credit, the amount that you were borrowing, should have been £14,600, and in his case it was still £15,000. It was actually a bit more than that, but just to keep the example straightforward. So make sure that when you check that credit offer, if you like, make sure that the amount you're borrowing has had any deposit allowance taken off it, because in his case it would have cost him another £10 a month for 48 months if he hadn't have checked it properly. So always check that quote carefully. In at number 4, remember to confirm the APR. You know, I don't, you know, this is going back some years, and it's not like this anymore. But I remember buying a brand new Audi, it was, and the business manager would not show me the APR because I'd found a deal somewhere else, and they even pretended that the printer had broken, and they said, oh, we can only print one page, and the first page of the agreement didn't have the APR on it. So always, and this won't happen anymore, Gone are those days, thankfully. But just remember to confirm the APR. And the other point, and again, hopefully this won't happen anymore. It certainly happened to me in the past. Always make sure you're being quoted APR and not flat rate. I've got a video on the channel which explains the difference, but a good rule of thumb is that flat rate is usually about half of the APR. So if they say to you, we can do this car at 3%, make sure it's APR, because you might find that you think you're getting 3% APR, and when you come to sign on the dotted line, it's 5.9 or something like that. So just make sure you find out what the APR is and make sure it is APR and not anything else. In at number 5, and this is only my opinion, but personally, I would never get talked into adding extras onto the agreement, because not only are you going to pay interest on them, you will also find them cheaper elsewhere, unless the dealer. I would never say not to ever buy gap insurance from a dealer, providing they can match a price you found online. That happened to me once. Porsche once matched gap cover that I sat in the showroom and I found a quote online, and they were so keen for me to have gap cover from them, they matched it. I'm not sure if that would happen anymore. But I would say never get talked into adding gap cover, paint protection, other types of insurance. If you are going to have them, pay for them rather than adding them onto the agreement, because obviously you'll pay interest on them. Paint protection, that's another bugbear of mine. I don't like saying this, but it'd be highly unlikely that you would get as good a quality paint protection product at a dealer compared to taking it to a detailer. I would sooner give £500 to a detailer who's going to spend at least 2 or 3 days on my car versus a dealer who probably gets an hour at most. I don't know, but is a dealer going to be able to spend the amount of time that a detailer will on your car? So personally, I would never have that. But I think the rule of thumb is don't have any of the extras added onto your finance agreement if you're going to have them. But personally, I would shop around, because there's lots of gap companies out there. Just make sure you read the small print. There are some better than others, but if you can find a policy, return to invoice, with a decent claims limit on there, I would sooner go for that than the dealer. You're going to get a better deal, usually. In at number 6, be prepared to haggle. I know a lot of us don't like haggling. You don't need to be rude about it. You don't need to be arrogant about it. But it's always worth seeing if you can squeeze a little bit more for your part exchange, or perhaps a further discount off the purchase price. If there's nothing that can be done, at least you've asked. Okay, but I would, as a dealer, I tell you, recently I bought this Ford Fiesta, and we managed to get 200 quid more on the part exchange, because they didn't want to lose the deal. So it's always worth asking. Even if it's 50 quid, it's better in your pocket than theirs, isn't it? In at number 7, always compare. Now, this is really important. I've talked a lot about this. Always compare apples with apples. So if you're going to 2 different dealers, or 2 different manufacturers even, and if you're saying, can you provide me with a 36-month PCP quote, or a 48-month PCP quote, or a 24-month PCP quote, and you're comparing different ones, always make sure they're the same. So if you've asked for a 36-month quote, make sure both of them are the same. By that I mean, are they both 36 equal payments with month 37 being where the balloon is, or are they 35 equal payments and month 36 being where the balloon is? If you've got one where it's what I would call 35 plus 1, and you've got another one where it's 36 plus 1, the 36 plus 1 may be cheaper per month, but that's because you're paying one more monthly payment. So it's always vital that when I've had that, I still have that now, when people are saying, oh, the spreadsheet isn't working properly. That's because you've assumed that you've been quoted for 47 equal payments or 35 equal payments, and actually it's not. So just make sure you're comparing apples with apples, as I've said there, so you get a very comparable way of looking at the 2 different monthly payments that you're being quoted. That's very important, that one. In a number 8, when comparing, start with the purchase price, not with the monthly payments. There's loads of different ways you can manipulate a monthly payment. Yeah, you can inflate the balloon payment at the other end so that you pay more at the other end, but your monthly payment comes down, for example. If you start with the purchase price when you're comparing different deals, you know you're making a fair comparison. So start with the purchase price, and as I said in number 7, make sure the terms are the same on the different agreements that you're being quoted or you're looking at. In at number 9, penultimate one, it can sometimes be good to see if a deal can be done at the end of the quarter. So if you go at the manufacturers always have quarterly deals. That's when that's where their targets are set. That's where they'll get their back end bonus potentially. That's where the APR will be set. And it's always a good thing. Maybe occasionally it won't always work, but let's say a dealer is desperate to make one more sale in that quarter to get a certain bonus. It might be worth going along at the end of each quarter to see if you can get a better deal. Also, sometimes the deal in the next quarter isn't so attractive. So, at least if you go at the end of the quarter, you're going to get the best possible deal, because it might change at the start of the next quarter. And the last one, in at number 10, I can't even remember what I've put. What have I put for number 10? Number 10, be prepared to walk away. So if the dealer can't match your expectations, another dealer might do. So be prepared. Don't get, use your head. Don't get taken up in the moment where, the bright lights are shining and you've got your attractive car. Be prepared to walk away. You might not walk away for good, but be prepared to walk away to have a think about it. You might find that the dealer gives you a call later in the day and says, look, we're at the end of the quarter. We might be able to do a bit more of a deal. It's always worth being prepared to walk away and either go somewhere else or wait for the dealer to give you a call. And that's it. I hope that was useful. They are just my random thoughts that I've just thought of over the last 10 minutes or so. I hope that was useful. As I've said before, please do continue to comment and subscribe. Please email me. You can't see it. Please email me here if you've got any questions. I like getting your emails. I can't give you any advice, as I've said before, but I can give you my friendly opinion. I'm more than happy to take a look at any quotes you've been given, see if I can give you any tips. And as I said, do continue to email me here to find out how you can get a copy of the latest spreadsheet. We're currently on version 5. Okay, I shall see you next time. Take care. Thanks for watching.